Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into one of the most bizarre mysteries in aviation history, the final flight of O.T. Nova. We're going to unpack a case that absolutely defies conventional logic and completely shatters our understanding of forensic science. We've got the recovered data, the timelines, and the official findings, and we're piecing together a story that, well, it feels like it was never actually meant to be understood. Okay, let's actually start at the very end. Listen to this impossible final whisper recovered from the wreckage. We didn't fall, we were pulled. That single, chilling sentence goes against literally everything we know about how an aircraft goes down. To understand how we arrived at that terrifying conclusion, we need to walk through a timeline of sheer impossibilities. Part 1. The phenomenon takes flight. Who was O.T. Nova? So before we get to the flight, you have to remember, O.T. Nova wasn't just some musician, right? He was this massive global phenomenon, always shrouded in mystery. And his final flight, it was supposed to be completely routine. Picture this, taking off from Rio de Janeiro right at sunset. The conditions are absolutely flawless. Clear skies, perfect weather, zero mechanical warnings. By every single aviation metric, it's a perfect evening to fly. But looking at the timeline, you see just how incredibly fast normal dissolved into the total unknown. We start with that perfect sunset takeoff. Then, a very specific, terrifying turning point at minute 18 when radar contact abruptly vanishes. And then, an agonizing gap of 2 full days before the wreckage is even discovered. Which brings us to part 2. 18 minutes in, the disappearance. Now, inside the cabin, right before that 18-minute mark, reports noted that Nova sat in this really unusual silence, almost like he was bracing for something. And then comes the jarring shift. Routine communications and steady telemetry, gone, instantly replaced by total dead air. Radar contact didn't just get spotty, it completely vanished. Air traffic control ran through literally every protocol in the book, but the aircraft was just gone from the grid, like it never existed. Part 3. The distorted distress signal. So normally, a vanishing aircraft triggers an automated SOS or, a panicked radio call. Instead, investigators received an audio melody unlike anything ever recorded in aviation history. A forensic breakdown actually confirmed it was an unreleased track by O.T. Nova himself. But it was heavily warped, it was slowed down, and played entirely in reverse. And here's the creepiest part, technicians claimed the audio felt alive, like it was actively responding to them. Just think about the implications of that for a second. Moving on to part 4, the impossible wreckage. 2 agonizing days later, searchers finally located the helicopter. But modern forensic science utterly failed to explain the scene they walked into. I mean, a standard crash involves debris fields, impact craters, fire. Flight 782 had absolutely none of that. Instead, the metal was completely compressed inward. It looked less like an aviation crash and more like a soda can crushed by the immense pressure of the deep ocean, just squeezed from all sides simultaneously by some totally invisible force. Part 5. The final audio. Right in the middle of this completely impossible wreckage, investigators found the black box. Their last hope for imposing some kind of reason onto this unreasonable scene. But it didn't contain hours of instrument readings. Nope. It held exactly 37 seconds of audio, a terrifyingly brief window into the final moments of Flight 782. Within those 37 seconds, there were no mechanical alarms, no sounds of a struggle, just the sound of heavy breathing. And then, cutting right through the silence, we hear this final whisper again. We didn't fall, we were pulled. A statement that perfectly, chillingly aligns with that bizarre inward compression of the hull. Now, you would absolutely expect a mystery of this magnitude to spark a massive global inquiry, right? Instead, the official investigation was abruptly and permanently shut down. 0 explanations were offered to the public. Nothing. And adding fuel to the cover-up theory, O.T. Nova's final album, the exact one tied to that strange, responding distress signal, was locked away, never to be released. Which really leaves us with a haunting final thought, and one that challenges our basic reliance on transparent institutions. If there was no impact, and the aircraft was crushed by an invisible force, what truly pulled Flight 782 from the sky? And maybe more importantly, what terrifying truth actually justifies shutting down an investigation in total
unyielding silence.